Alright, what's going on, guys? Try back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a type of case for video or theory video. In this one, we're going to be discussing whether or not we think it was Abraham, making a case for Abraham, that was killed off in The Walking Dead Season 6 finale. Possible spoiler warning for the Walking Dead comic book series if you haven't read it in the last 4 years, or if you care, so to speak. So I'm going to put two links in the description for this one. Both of these, one is from hollywoodlife.com and the other one is from comicbook.com, and they have posted some pretty good kind of blog posts or article posts where they go into making the case for Abraham. I had a few people ask me, even a couple weeks ago at this point, Trev, what do you think about this? And they've kind of made a case for each character, and so why don't you give your thoughts on that? Why don't you go through and do some videos on that and give your thoughts on each one? So this one will be for Abraham, and then I may do a couple more, maybe one for Daryl, and then maybe one for Eugene afterwards, but we'll have to see. You guys have already heard my case for Glenn a few times now at this point, so I'm not going to redo that. So the first one from HollywoodLife.com is that this is the first point they have, is that Abraham's comic death has already passed. And that's very true, absolutely true, that in the comic book series, he was killed off at the moment where Dwight shot Denise in the Walking Dead television series. So the equivalent in the comic book series was Abraham being shot with a bolt, not Denise. So they've swapped it out. So that does, I guess that does make it a little bit more probable that he may be killed off soon. Now, sometimes they go with that. Sometimes they don't. You have characters such as Tyrese, who outlived his comic book counterpart when the governor attacked, and instead of them killing off Tyrese with the sword from the governor, in the television series version, they killed off Herschel instead. So it was swapped. It was a bit different there. But then afterwards, they kind of updated it, so to speak, that before they got into the Alexandria story arc, they put in Tyrese's death at that point, I guess sort of to keep it similar. I have heard people say, though, and I don't know for sure if this is true, that Robert Kirkman has said in interviews that he kind of regrets killing off Abraham in the Walking Dead comic book series because he's such a fun character and he's cool to see and everything, because he's like one of their biggest and strongest fighters. So you could look at that as a positive or negative thing with regards to Negan. So even though that is true and that is a point, I don't know if that necessarily means it's going to be a Tyrese situation where they're going to kill him off, shortly afterwards, after his comic book counterpart death, to keep it fresh and to keep us kind of surprised and shocked when it actually happens, or not. We'll have to see. Second point they have is he finally found his place in the world. So as if he's kind of finally found peace. And that after, of course, leaving Rosita, for Sasah, he's kind of in a place now where he's content, it seems. Even though, of course, as things happen around him, he's still, as everybody would be, naturally would be kind of shaken if they're going to get attacked by somebody or Negan's got them. But he does seem, this brings us to the next one, number 3, Abraham's not really afraid of Negan. And that's true. When Negan does look at him, he says he has to shave. He can't really comment too much because Abraham kind of looks him square in the eyes, doesn't really show much fear, doesn't really show that he's afraid, kind of is just like, yep, I'm here, whatever, what's it going to be? I'm at peace. If I'm killed off now, if that's the way it has to be, then that's the way it has to be. So 2 and 3 are kind of combined in that way. And it didn't seem to upset Negan that Abraham was kind of just looking at him sternly and not really showing any emotion. So I don't know if you can, say that makes it more likely that Negan would pick him or less, but there are quite a few people that do think that Abraham is the one that Negan did choose, even still at this point. Number 4 is when you want to scare someone, you take out the big guy. And so that, I do think that might be true. However, in Negan's case, he wants them to work for him. And so he may see Abraham as an asset or he may see him as a liability. It's tricky either way. He could view him as like, okay, he's really big. Obviously, he's huge. He's probably like, what is Michael Cudlett's, like 230 or something, 240 or 220. He's pretty big anyway. He looks big on camera. Strong, everything, good fighter. He can shoot really well. He doesn't know all this, but he can tell just by kind of looking at him that this guy is a really tough guy, and he doesn't scare easy. He could see him as a threat because of his value, because of who he is and everything, or he could see him the other way, because we've seen Abraham and Rick actually get into kind of struggles for leadership before, which Abraham eventually kind of concedes, and then Rick eventually takes over as the overall group leader. Of course, if you want to go back to like season 5, late season 4 type deal. So I don't know about number 4. Is it true that he would want to do that, or is it true that he would want to keep him because of how tough he is? I guess you could see it either way, depending on your perspective, and so could Negan in his situation. Number 5 is why can't we hear Abraham scream? Now, the screams and the noise is heavily debated. There was a linked version online. Some people discount it entirely. Some people think it's true. I've heard interviews with Lauren Cohen who said that they actually recorded the audio individually, so separate from the scene. There's a lot of conflicting info out there right now. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of argumentation about it, and some people saying for sure confirmed it's not, for sure confirmed it is. Definitely the topic of argument right now until we actually see a trailer, see the death, or see something confirmed by AMC officially. Until then, it's all hearsay, and it's all kind of argument back and forth and making a case for. So number 5, why can't we hear Abraham scream? Well, Negan did also say that if beforehand that he would cut Carl's eye out and feed it to his father, but then afterwards he kind of cycled back and kind of let them know that as he went to swing that hell, you're all going to be doing that. It's okay if you have to cry, whatever you're going to do. It's just natural. So, but Abraham is so cool. I don't think you can have this as a point either, because of course he he was kind of shut down as we mentioned in number point 3 that he wasn't afraid. So he just kind of was accepting and as such at peace, even though something absolutely horrendous was happening right near him, right beside him. I've added a couple of my own, and comicbook.com has others as well. The one that I've added is that he did make peace with Eugene, and I do think that is kind of, should I say telling? Maybe not telling, but he did make peace with Eugene, and Eugene made peace with him, even though they did not see eye to eye before. When it came down to it, and it was a moment of life or death there, he did let Eugene know that he accepts him. He does. He accepts him. And again, that's where peace comes from, is from acceptance. And so he did make his peace with Eugene. And that is important to him, because he spent a lot of time with him. And Eugene had really kind of screwed him over, so to speak, or tricked him, so to speak, right? He was hopeful with Sasah, which is true too. He did even talk to her about possibly having a child, this kind of thing. Maybe at this point, after this all happens, he may cycle back on that, or he may decide, you know what, let's still do it. This is the world we live in now. Yeah, it's rough, but it's still worth a shot. At least you got a shot if you try. So that's something as well too, as well as he may have been spared earlier to be used for this purpose, and it would be a pretty big death. Some people talk about, okay, well, if next season they don't use a big character, people are going to be pissed off they had to wait all summer, and then it was just like maybe a smaller character like Aaron or somebody like that, who we haven't even known for that long. Abraham has been in the show for a long time now. He's pretty much accepted as like a mainstay. Michael Cudlett's very interactive, going to cons and all this kind of stuff, interviews and things like this, and he is the leader of his own little subgroup, which has now joined the bigger group, and I would accept him as a main lead, a main character, A-lister at this point, even though some people may put him as a B-lister. So I do think he is a pretty big death, and he's definitely one of the people I would put near the top. I've done my top 5 for top 5 most likely, and he is in there, and I can see reasons for it, and I can see reasons against it. Last one is that he was cruel to Rosita. So you could have people might think, okay, well, maybe because he was cruel to her that they kind of set him up and then they kill him off, and people won't feel so bad. Kind of like with Lori and what happened with Shane before she was killed off, that she wasn't a perfect wife and this kind of deal. So people didn't feel so well, they were upset, but it was kind of like they didn't really like her that much. She didn't have their buy-in that much. So when it actually happened, it happened. So a good number of points here. You guys can add to it in the comments below if you want to. pretty much all I got to say in this one is, Abraham is a possibility for sure. He's one of the ones there that's at the top in the top 5 type deal. For me, I just I don't know. I mean, I think it's a decent case, but you can make a case for other characters as well too. So this is the one for Abraham for me. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Write your comments below. And if you like this video and you want to see another one for Eugene, you want to see one for maybe some of the other characters like Daryl, then thumb it up below. Let me know you like it, and write your comments as well. Share it through if you really want to see others. Share it through to Facebook, whatever else you use at the bottom. And if you're new and you want to subscribe, you want to see more videos from me leading up to The Walking Dead Season 7, as well as reviews for Fear and Game of Thrones, all kinds of other stuff, then subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one, guys. I'll talk to you again soon. Trev, I'm saying peace. See ya.